Good evening everyone and welcome to what can only be described as a second attempt at round one here for the Coates versus Newsham Mini League for season 19 here with Next Gen Racing. Hopefully this time around we're going to have much more action compared to the media day event that we had last time. I'm sure you'll all agree. And GT Sport seems to be playing ball now with its servers, so we're back into the mix. I'm fairly certain we're in for a very wonderful race around this very fantastic circuit created by GT Sport. Now, as always, happily commentating alongside me as always because he's fantastic in that regard. Jordan, good to have you back for round one.
Yeah, good evening. It's nice to possibly actually get some racing in this time. In fact, actually just having qualifying would be nice.
I know, absolutely. And the main hope is that we can go through it tonight and not come across any problems. Would be pretty great, to be honest with you. I know that, like we said, GT Sport had a few issues last week, and we've got a good set of drivers back for tonight. I'm fairly certain you'll agree. I will say we are one driver down from last week, unfortunately. Next Gen Mad Marshall is unable to make it for the Newsham side, so to speak, tonight. I hope you're watching, Mad Marshall. If you are, get well soon. My thoughts are with you, and Next Gen, we hope you see you back on track soon. I know that you're hopefully watching from your hospital bed at the moment, but all the best, buddy. I'm sure Jordan will agree.
Agreed, yeah. It'd be nice to have him back once he's well. Solid racers, Mad Marshall. He never gives up. Always cracks on with things. But as you say, Jack, it's Coates versus Newsham, so two different teams.
Two different teams, two different objectives. Not only is it in terms of the team game, but it's also in terms of the solo game, really. They're all going to be looking for that first win under the belt this season, that first good result, hope to avoid any chaos and carnage. But whilst we do that, it's got a yellow flag coming towards the final sector. It's just Snav who's pulled over to the side there. Well, I think we should start qualifying. I think we've hit 8:30.
It is 8:30. Also, good evening to Big Z who's watching the stream. Hopefully you're alright. Yeah, I think it's high time qualifying begins.
High time indeed. So we are underway. Qualifier has been kicked off. Polish Pete said, do we have to pit tonight? I'll answer him back on that one just to tell him.
I would also say, Jack, there's only 12 people entered, so we may abandon.
Oh dear.
I'm assuming some people, we've only got 12 people in, so
I believe it's Polish Pete who is yet to do that. Okay, that's fine.
Who may have to abandon the first attempt. But Les looking quite favourable at the moment in the number for Team Coates. Just to run everyone through the teams. Team Coates has Bumper Cam Bob. Where is he to? There he is there. We have D Whitehouse 7. Where is D Whitehouse on track? Probably a little. There he is, 10th. No, he's just gone into 9th.
Jordan, just a quick reminder on the qualifying settings where to change.
What do you mean?
Just so we can restart.
Everyone backs out to the lobby. I think would. If everyone backs out to the comes out of the quali back to the lobby screen and presses cancel entry, that should cancel the qualification. There's a slight technical hiccup. Weirdly enough, not thrown up by GT Sport. Yeah, so D Whitehouse also on Team Coates. Joey Dunlop, where is he? He's number 7.
Yeah, just while everyone's obviously going to sort themselves out, just so we know that everything's ready to go. Bit of a quick one about Joey Dunlop. I got a bit of info from a good friend of his in terms of Dave, who's racing in the lobby. That's Traumatic Dave. Basically, Joey comes from a family, a racing family, effectively. He knows his stuff quite a lot. He races in sidecars, effectively. And, you know, he's played years in terms of racing games, like during the PS2 days, during Take a Race Driver, Tourist Trophy, etc. And even a bit more with PS3, a bit more online racing. And he's a very fair racer. He is the type who will let someone through if they're faster than him. But at the same time, he's very competitive, and he knows how to use his tactics a little bit more. So, good to have another competitive driver in on that one.
Yeah, you may have to retell everyone. So yeah, a few people still going round at the moment. Are you back in mix? I know one of the drivers is in my household, so if Jack, I'll let you take the reins for 5 minutes.
That's alright, Jordan, not a problem. Okay, so at the moment in time, we're just getting everybody back into the lobby where we can. Just Polish Pete, I think we were just missing on that one, which is unfortunate. Just 2 drivers going around at the moment who are still entered. So we need to just make sure that everyone has kept themselves out of this. Never get anything quite right. Unfortunately. But we will get there. We'll get everyone sorted eventually. But we are racing tonight, of course, round Lago Maggiore, this amazing circuit, absolutely wonderful setting to have a circuit such as this. And, you know, in the middle of Italy, of course, it was one of Napoleon's sort of luxury getaways way back when, obviously when he was, you know, sort of almost the emperor of France. He used to come to Italy to sort of rest and recuperate. This is one of his famous places he liked to stay. Still waiting on Waste to try and exit this lobby, which would be great. And Polish Pete has now completely left the room, which is not convenient as he does that. But a little history fact for you there. So, there we go. And now qualifying has been cancelled. Hopefully Polish Pete will return and then re-enter. We're just in practice before we do that. Everyone looks like they're just rejoining and getting themselves back in. Just waiting on a few more just to make sure that they've entered. Hopefully, from your perspective, from where you're watching, you can see a couple of. Oh, I hope you can see cars out on circuit. Otherwise, you're just going to see a map screen floating across in front of you. And yeah, it's going to be really fascinating tonight's race. One thing to mention was that Les seemed to have a bit of a gap around this circuit. It's not a big circuit. It's only 1.06 miles. The main straight is only 340 metres. So to have a tenth and a half advantage around a circuit that's only going to last maybe 54 seconds, it's quite a big margin. Has to be said. So hopefully, you know, we'll see some really good competitive racing. And on that front, we hope tonight's going to give some action after last week's sort of, let's say, shenanigans from last week when we had all the server issues. But now we're back on this circuit. Les currently the pre-practice favourite, so to speak. And you know, like I was saying, Jordan has just rejoined conveniently for us. You know, Les was top of the pile in practice. He looked pretty quick, a tenth and a half clear of everyone on a very short circuit. Everyone has now joined, so we can get underway.
Yeah, but it can be quite misleading in practice because you never know whether anyone's sandbagging, shall we say.
No, exactly. I think there are going to be a few tactics going on, and I think with how close the field were, to mix that involved as well. You could think about it and say, actually, it doesn't matter if you're the fastest, the cars are going to be that close tonight that anyone could win this, really. And like I was saying to you before we started, we were looking at the couple of the practice times coming in. You know, a couple of drivers have improved from last week. You know, a few of them weren't doing 54s last week, and yet here we are. They're right in the thick of the mix, and it'll come down to those drivers, how they're good at racecraft. I mean, Jordan, I'm obviously not going to tell you who to do a pre-race prediction because I'm not cruel. But who do you think's up there? Who do you think might be the favourites?
Well, I think you're looking at your Les Philo for definite is without a doubt a candidate. We know how quick he is. Four Fish, it'll be interesting to see how he transitions back. I'm looking for him to have quite a strong result tonight because I've raced him in similar sort of cars in terms of the Scirocco's a few seasons ago, and he was very quick. So he could throw up a spanner in the works returning to the game. I mean, in reality, it's around here, it's anyone's game.
Absolutely. I also noticed, just running through at the moment, I'm just watching cars coming into turn one. Rally Matt and Four Fish seem to be running quite a similar colour scheme. I don't know if that's intentional, but it looks like the same sort of gunmetal grey main body colour that they're running with the blue. Obviously, they're both on Mr. Coates' side, so I wonder if that was intentional, maybe.
Probably not, because I know Matt made his livery quite last minute, so
happy convenience.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've raced Matt as well. He's if he can get used to the game, used to the car quick enough, he could be a bit of a dark horse in this as well. He's quite quick on project cars, as you well know, Jack.
Absolutely.
So it'd be interesting to see what he can do. Tell you what, Jack, pick a driver, any driver.
Let's go with I'm just having a quick look for Stevie Q.
Stevie Q, currently 7th. When he crosses the when he crosses the line next, which will be in about, I don't know, 20 seconds time, we'll go for a lap with him.
Absolutely. In the meantime, just before you go on that lap, Jordan, TNR Philo, for those that can see, he's currently provisional pole by 0.05 of a second from Four Fish, who's getting a nice draft from him. They're coming across the line in the next couple of seconds just to see how they've improved on that lap. Philo does improve, Four Fish improves, but Les goes even quicker.
Yeah, now on board with Stevie Q, so we're going to cross the line for this 1.06 mile circuit. You're braking about 50 metres just before it, pitch it into the apex, run it over the curb, bring it back to the left to flick it into the right to shallow the angle as such. Turn 3 should be flat, is flat, just don't touch the sausage curb on the inside. We've got a bit of a run here with D Whitehouse just behind, who are just behind. That is through 5, 6, flat all the way up into 5th towards the hairpin right, which can be missed if you're not careful. It's about 60 metres braking, down to 3rd, down to 2nd for Stevie Q because only 150 brake horsepower. Back on the throttle, let it run. Keep it to the right hand side because you keep the car straight for the quickest run. Up to the line, what do we do on board with him? It's a 54.9, putting him 5th place.
5th place, that's a good lap from Stevie Q, a veteran almost of Next Gen. He's been in many different series in the last few years, so good showing so far, but still 5 minute 46 left in the session to go. D Whitehouse also improved on that lap as well. He was running a little bit quicker despite running wide at the hairpin, and I think there's going to be a few lines through that corner tonight, Jordan. I think with overtaking, the drivers aren't going to be able to take the traditional wider in, fast out line like they would do normally, you know, braking later on the brakes, of course, compared to what they would do normally, because someone could just dive straight up the inside.
No, absolutely, and this final hairpin is crucial as well. You get this wrong and you've got the whole of that mighty 0.34 mile straight that you're going to suffer on out. It doesn't sound like a long straight because it really isn't, but in these cars with this sort of horsepower, momentum is everything, and Traumatic Dave has left the room and I'm uncertain as to why.
Oh, that's really unfortunate. I hope that Traumatic Dave can sort himself out. Can he rejoin the lobby, Jordan?
No, that's it, I'm afraid. Once qualifying starts, you don't get back in on GT Sport.
Crikey, that's a shame. So we're down to 11 drivers currently then. See, someone else has done it disappearing out.
Waze.
Waze has also disappeared.
And
so
you know the more horrible thing, Jack? They're all Team Newsham.
They are, that's what I was thinking. I was just about to raise that. So that's 3 drivers. And looking at Wace in particular, a quick driver, certainly one that would be the wild card in the pack for the Newsham side. That's the driver gone.
Yeah, I mean, I would say luckily they got Philo on their side, but he's currently 4th. Stevie Q up to 2nd with his latest attempt. He's back behind D Whitehouse, so the D Whitehouse got back ahead of him, courtesy of a lovely bit of draft. Traumatic Dave has rejoined the room.
Dave has said that he's been disconnected, which is what caused that problem. It's a bit of an unfortunate one, but he's rejoined the room. So, is there anything that we can do to get him racing?
The only thing you can do is once qualifying's over, put him to the back of the grid. Everyone comes out of the race. You just set the grid manually.
Oh, good. You're relying on my GT Sport skills there, Jordan, to get everything sorted again. So that's going to be...
It's pretty easy. But yeah, that's about the only way. You set the grid manually, get everyone to quit out of the race, and set it all up manually, which is easy to do. Lower down the grid, Snav in 9th, but it's amazing really. Snav's in 9th and he's only 6/10 off the pace. Polish Pete 1.1 and he's 11th. So you can see how tight it is. You've got Bruce Lee Harding behind him in the number 69 in the Jensen racing car for the Team Newsham.
Indeed.
Waze is also rejoined.
Okay, so we can get those 2 back in then, that's not a problem. So 2 minutes 20 to go. Les has led pretty much most of this session so far, Jordan, and he's got 600ths of a second currently to Stevie Q's. But then this is what I said earlier, Jordan. There are drivers who are definitely improving their lap times from last week, and Stevie Q's one of them. Last week he was running in 8th or 9th, I think it was. He was certainly right in the thick of the midfield, and now he's in P2 currently provisionally. He's right behind D1
and he's purple. Yeah, he's gone purple, probably because of that slipstream he's getting off DYLs, and the slipstream is set to real, but in these cars does a lot. It's a bit wide from Stevie Q. He's going to lose time, lose a bit of momentum, going slightly longer there.
One aspect that I'm looking forward to, Jordan, and this is another part of the tactics here, is what sort of brake bias are these drivers running? Because we know that some drivers obviously would prefer to have the braking a little bit further forward, but because this is a Mini and it's got not much power, you've got to try and back the car in a little bit more than you would do normally. So I think that's going to play a part in the lap times. I think there's a couple of them who are so close. I mean, you look at the top 4 are within 1/10.
Yeah.
Philo's gone purple now in the second sector, and he has a little bit of a toe from 4th.
If you want my non-expert opinion on how you want the car for this, you probably... Oh, that was someone in the barriers, and I don't know who it was. Who was that in the barriers? I want to say it was Bumper Cam Bob, but I think it might have actually been Les. But I got a feeling it was a white car.
I saw white. I think it might have been Bumper Cam Bob, because I can see Les.
No, it wasn't. It was Les.
Oh, was it Les?
I've just done a quick replay. It just about captures the end of it. Yeah, I've missed it there. But yeah, it was Les who went screaming off, probably clipping the grass, under braking. The Minis don't tend to like that, especially if you catch it on the rear. It just tend to move the rear a little bit. Ideally, in these cars, you don't really want the back end to move that much. You want to keep it as smooth as you can, because if you start going sideways, you will lose the momentum, which is critical in these cars.
That's the checkered flag out, though, is it not, Jordan?
It is. Time is up. I think Philo's
just gone quickest.
Got cars coming across the line. Rally
Matt.
Matt.
The line. Nothing.
Bruce.
What about Bruce next up? Look like he's going any quicker.
And he's decided to send it across the line. Snav, I believe, will be next cross line in the Bodgett and Scarpa Racing for Team Newsham.
He will be the last person to set a competitive lap time as well, because Polish Pete's not going any quicker. Here we come towards the line. What's he going to do?
Go slower. Still, nearly only about half a second off. It's not bad for ninth on the grid.
No, it's not at all.
You know, you'd almost be disappointed at any normal circuit. But Philo does take pole position, and I believe Jack's going to be giving
the order, but I'll give another order.
I also have a picture of the qualifying results to hand.
So I'll just put return to lobby. And the race is not live. Although Fourfish seems to think it is. It's still gone anyway. Dave has disconnected again.
So this will be pretty much the only race restart we'll do for the night, just because it's easy. You see, some people have already got the order. Some of these guys might use this as a first lap test, just to see how the cars react in the first lap, then return back to the lobby.
Yeah, there's a couple of them you can just see who've just slowed down a little bit there.
Fourfish has his indicator on, which is a bit weird because he's turning right in the final corner rather than left. Misdirection.
They seem to think they're in the world of racing at the moment.
You know, it's through turn 3, they're still going hammer and tongs. I mean,
this is a note from the race director: quit it or start from the back.
There we go. Some people we've got some
more.
more.
There we go. Hopefully Fourfish and Les are in that much engrossed of a battle that they want to try and keep
Fourfish to the inside. I'm going to call out as I see it anyway. He's going to go for the lead of this non-race.
Read my mind, Dave.
And they're still side by side. Les has got the message, so hopefully.
And Philo wins a 2-lap sprint.
And they're still going at it, the top two, the only two now.
They don't want
there we go.
There we go. Right.
So I think, just to repeat, this will be the only race restart we do for the night.
So, Jordan, talk me through it, because you're the one with the plan.
So, you go you edit your race settings first.
Yeah. Edit events.
Yeah, edit event settings, then you change it from practice qualifier endurance to practice endurance race.
Which is done.
Then you do grid, where it says fastest first or whatever. That's got to be set by host.
So set by host.
And then save, and then change all that to that. Okay. Then up in the race settings again, you should have an option to set the grid. Once everyone's entered, obviously. Everyone has to enter.
Okay, that did not take as much as I thought. And to be honest with you, that's what I thought it was. Try and
So
get this.
everyone enters.
As quickly as we can.
It is a pretty quick process. I mean, I've done it a few times. So once four fish
and bumper cam bob at the minute. I have a picture, I think.
I've got a picture up if needed. So just waiting for bumper cam Bob. There he is. He's entered in. So now if you go to set the grid,
that's fine.
everyone should be on. So obviously Philo put it on pole position. So you take Philo and put him all the way to the top.
Fish second. Les was third.
Yeah.
He was fourth, was he not?
He was. Bumper cam Bob was fifth.
Good effort from Bob.
D Whitehouse seventh in sixth. So D Whitehouse 7 in sixth.
And then
Bruce. Snav followed by Joey Dunlop.
Yeah.
Polish Pete, and then Traumatic Dave and Waze in whatever order you believe they should be.
It went off whoever disconnected first. I didn't see. I saw Dave disappear first though, so I'll put Dave 12th and Wace 13th. Sorry, Wace. That's the only way I saw it, and that's the only way I can call it. So, make sure that's all ready. Yeah, that's all set up. Shall we start for the second time?
For the second time of asking, I'd put in the chat just to let everyone know we are starting the race, and then give it half a minute and go. Need some people. So we did talk about the liveries last time. Obviously some are fully user created, some are based off of real life liveries in the world. Bruce being one of the real life liveries, and also Philo, who's running the Callum Newsham car. Where are they to? Somewhere on the list. There he is. The North Scott car. I believe Polish Pete is also running that, but in a different variant. I believe he's got a yellow variant of it.
Right, there we go. 50th time lucky. So everyone is in now. This is the point where we're at. There's no more resets. There's nothing going on. This is it. We are in the race. We have the white and red car of Philo on the right hand side of the grid. You've got four fish in the grey and blue car on the left, followed by the rest of the minis on the grid. What a race we're going to have. Here come 20 minutes on the right hand side, but more importantly, here come the numbers. And the race is live here from Lago Maggiore. It's a good start from Philo, but also behind him, Les has got a relatively decent start as they approach turn number 1. Four fish currently on the outside as they approach that difficult corner. Three wide going into the second part of that grid there. Bumper cam Bob on the inside. Try and cut to one of the other spectator cameras that we can see at the moment, just to see what's going on. Stevie Q in 6th, trying to go around the outside of D Whitehouse. Bumper cam Bob's in 4th. All looks relatively clean at the start, Jord.
Yeah, it was Stevie Q not having the greatest of starts there, just about staying ahead of D Whitehouse 7 as they come through the S's for the first time. Bruce up to 7th, Snav into 8th, so it's a bad start from Randy Matt as well, who is actually looking for a move on Snav, coming up towards the hairpin. Snav covers it off beautifully though.
Four fish got his nose up the inside of Philo coming out of that final corner, just blocking each other off, but four fish compromised, and now Les on the back of him, just riding on an external camera with him on the outside as they approach turn 1. Bumper cam Bob just shadowing these three at the moment on the outside in that sort of swirly livery from Les, but nothing doing, just had a little look and that opening lap.
Meanwhile, Matt's got past Snav into turn 1, down the inside with a bit of slipstream, and Snav under pressure now from Waze as they go into turn 3.
Bit of contact through the corner.
Bit of door rubbing.
Couple of couple of pieces of contact between the two there, but nothing doing.
Both of them on controller as well, so obviously the car's a little bit more jerky compared to normal.
Just see that from Snav there as he moves a little bit, like you mentioned last week, Jordan, with those little tiny controller movements. He's looking at the inside, Snav, but Again, you've got to be careful, like I said earlier, and that
Wace is wide.
Way off the circuit.
Amazingly, kept the momentum to enable him to have a fighting chance, and Joey Dunlop is sniffing a potential opportunity here at getting past one of these guys.
So, Wace on the outside, Wace with a little bit of lag going on as well. A lot of lag going on, actually. He's just hit Snav, actually, going through turn 2.
Yeah, I don't know whether that was a bit of a lag, because look at the way he's going across the circuit.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there at the moment from Wace.
You know, if I was Joey Dunlop, I'd be a little bit hesitant at the moment trying to go past until that stabilises a touch. Traumatic Dave actually making a move on Snav in the background.
Snav compromised from that lag moment earlier on. He's still on the inside to come into the final corner. They are. Oh, Wace back into the wall again.
Now these are two Newsham drivers. They need to work this out together. They've both got a run on Waze and Joey Dunlop. Joey Dunlop obviously getting through. Meanwhile, back at the front, Philo still leading the way. Fullfish down the inside potentially for 3.
It's going to compromise him. That's going to give Les bumper cam Bob. Look at this line of 5 cars, Jordan. Absolutely neck and neck as we come through the little quick turn 5-6 complex. Can't even call it complex.
I'm expecting 2nd to 5th, that's Fullfish to Stevie Q, not to fight too much. They're all on Team Coates. This is a train of Coates drivers. Oh, that's a move.
That's not just a move, that's a huge bomb up the inside, and Les has got the lead. A fantastic late braking move. Philo, I think, had to dart out of the way to avoid him, and he's in position to maybe lose another couple of places.
Bumper cam Bob down the inside of Philo. And is he going to look at Les? Fullfish on the outside. Bob, bit of contact between all 3 of the Coates drivers. And Philo
going right up the inside again. He's all on the curb, but he's got himself slipped up the inside. He's back up to 3rd. He went from 1st to 3rd to 5th to 3rd again, but he's back in the position. Stevie Q all over the back at the moment. This is like D. Whitehouse and Bruce Lee Harding to close that gap, and it's gone from a 5-car train to what could potentially become an 8-car battle, because Rally Matt's just tagged on the back as well.
Yeah, down to the final corner again. I've got a replay queued up for that for Les. So we'll go back, have a look at that in a minute, and it looks like it might just settle down, but I doubt it because Philo practically pushing Les down the main straight.
Les as well was a little bit compromised through the corner. He had a bit of a little nibble again at looking past his good friend Fullfish, but it's compromised him. Will Philo look for a move? No, just slots in, stays behind.
Let's just go have a look back at this move. So we're on board with Les coming out of 5 and 6. Changing late in 5th. Where does he brake? There's the 100 board. There's the 50. He's braked on the 50. And it seems like there wasn't any contact actually either.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear any. So whether Philo ended up just giving that extra bit of room seeing Les coming through, but good driving from all of them, but Fullfish starting to build a slight gap, half a second. Not quite enough, though, to break the slipstream.
No, not at the moment. Whilst you were talking, Jordan, unfortunately, Wace disconnected. He was running last, so clearly more internet issues plaguing the Newsham driver. So that's another driver down, unfortunately, for Newsham.
Looking back through the field, yeah, D. Whitehouse is now caught up to the back of Stevie Q, and he's brought Bruce and Rally Matt with him.
Bruce got a little bit of work to do, does Bruce, to make sure he catches onto the back. Needs a little bit more fighting to go on between 4th and 5th of obviously Bumper Cam Bob and Stevie Q. Bumper Cam Bob, he's raced GT Gran Turismo games most likely. Here comes Stevie Q though. Before I go on to that story, up the inside.
It looked like Philo down the inside of Les, so I'll queue up the replay for that one. We'll go back, have a look. Stevie Q unable to get the move done there. We'll just join the battle for 2nd.
Les on the inside as they approach turn 1.
He
made that movie like this a little bit later. Polish Pete.
That's another Newsham driver.
Ooh, Philo right on the back of Les at the moment. You see the drivers being a lot more aggressive with with third gear coming out of that hairpin, really spinning up the wheels, and it's more just to sort of tame the car and get the power down more than anything else, but it creates a lot of smoke. It's a good job tyre wears off.
It's really weird because I've been talking to a few of the drivers over the past week after what was effectively a practice session, and they're saying you had to rev the car hard out of that hairpin because you went up to fourth and it just bogged down, which means you lose that momentum that you've carried all the way through the corner. So you tend to find on GT Sport there's a certain speed that every car likes going into each gear, and obviously coming out of that hairpin, none of the speeds work.
Bit of door rubbing between Philo and Les. Philo got the run, but Les just brakes later because it's a bit wider. Philo on the outside, probably not going to get through there. Looks to switch back. Not quite, Les, just far enough front, and they've now gapped Bumper Cam Bob, Stevie Q, and D Whitehouse.
Well, Bumper Cam Bob defending a bit, and that looked like Bruce Lee Harding and Rally Matt taking 7th place away. So, first and second is Newsham drivers, coach drivers, and 4th to 7th is now all Coates. So it's a bit of a Coates demolition job at the moment as Bruce goes back down the inside for the final corner to the main straight, and it looks like, yeah, just that tight line. In reality, you kind of don't want to try and make the overtake there. You want to set it up for the exit, make the other driver go defensive.
That's a little bit wide going into turn 1 there. He's still battling with TNR Philo at the moment, just watching between the two. But this is enabling Fourfish just now. Just goes a second clear by the seams of it, or nearly a second clear of Les at the moment. It's just got to keep his lines clean, because at the moment these two keep fighting as hard as they are doing. They're going to let Fourfish get away, and as you can see, Jordan, fastest lap currently with the number 4 driver.
Yeah, Fourfish is looking for 1.5. That's kind of what I've learned over the seasons, is your magic number to break the toe.
D Whitehouse went for a lunge up the inside of Stevie Q there. Didn't quite happen. He's trying to slot back into the slipstream.
And now he's got Matt up his bumper as well, so he's not only he can't just attack, although that was looking a little bit close between D Whitehouse and Stevie Q then, into turn 1.
Ooh, Bruce Lee having a little nibble as well at Rally Matt. Further back, Traumatic Dave and Snav having a fantastic time for what is currently the battle for the not-so-wooden spoon at the minute.
Both of them Newsham drivers. They could do with trying to get up to Joey Dunlop, try and take a few points back from the Coates team, because the Coates team are having a mega race. Obviously advantaged by the lack now.
Ooh, D Whitehouse has gone flying deep into the corner. That's an opportunity for Rally Matt, which is taken. Here comes Bruce Lee on the inside now, coming down towards turn 1.
D Whitehouse also has a penalty of 0.3 of a second.
I think that came from his turn 1 cut earlier. I think he was just trying to avoid a little bit of a contact with, and he's braked earlier, sure enough, to try and jump it off. But that corner there, he's just come through. Looked like Dave earlier on was just trying to cut that corner just to avoid contact with Stevie Q when he said they were close. But halfway through this race, and at the moment, Fourfish is just edging 200ths on that last lap from Les. Nearly away, Jordan.
Yeah, he's about 0.15 away from that magic number of 1.5 seconds. Once he's broken the toe, if these two continue to fight, they will lose further time. Obviously, a replay of D Whitehouse being shown just a minute ago of him going wide into the final corner.
Bumper Cam Bob in 4th. I'm impressed with Bumper Cam Bob so far. He's driven really well. He's managed to get himself away from that fight, setting relatively decent lap times. He's actually lapping about the same as Fourfish and Les on that lap. So opportunity knocks for Bumper Cam Bob. If he just keeps his pace up, he's 1.1 behind Philo now. That's an opportunity to watch out for.
Yes, we're watching Stevie Q and Rally Max. They're quite close for contention. They've actually gapped Bruce Lee Harding, who's having to fend off D Whitehouse in the meantime. down towards the final corner. Stevie Q, Matt does look to the inside, goes down the inside, gets it a little bit sideways, puts it on the apex. He isn't going to keep it because Stevie Q should have the momentum out. Although,
Rally Matt will have the inside line, won't he, going towards turn 1?
He'll have the inside line, but if Stevie Q can hang it around the outside, it's prime real estate, that first corner. That's what is why you tend to see Les going wider through it, because it stops Philo from being able to keep the outside line for the inside of turn 2. Matt not so much outside, runs it a little bit wide into the grass out of turn 2 into 3, but he'll get away with it just about.
He did run a little bit wide though, that sapped his momentum. Here comes Stevie Q trying to go around the sort of little flick 5-6.
And in the background, our replay marker, because D Whitehouse has got in front of Bruce Lee Harding. Matt still holding on. And Bruce gets back ahead of D Whitehouse into the final corner down the inside.
DVQ's got a better run on the outside now. He's going to be just about ahead of Rally Matt as we come towards turn 1. Sure enough, he slots back in behind.
Meanwhile, door to door, quite literally trading paint between D Whitehouse and Bruce Lee Harding into turn 1. Bruce a little bit sideways, will keep the inside for turn 2. Fantastic racing.
It's great racing, you're right, Jordan. At the front, by the way, Fourfish has got that magic number. Les absolutely extending the rev range. He's still got Philo right on the back of him, but that gap is now 1.5. That's the gap that he needed.
Yeah, 1.5 the magic number. Obviously, if Philo and Les obviously stop battling, they will start to close that back in. It's just that 1.5 limits the tow that Les can get. Effectively stops that, so he can't gain massive amounts of time on Fourfish. But yeah, if Philo and Les actually work together for 2 minutes, they may be able to catch back in. But that wasn't a great first couple of corners from the pair in second and third.
No, that's a fantastic switchback from Stevie Q though to get up the inside of Rally Matt for turn 3. That was a fantastic move. Set it up through 1, cut back on turn 2, had the exit speed, but Matt's now right behind him. Again, these two have been glued to the back of one another all the way through the race.
Meanwhile, just behind them, Bruce and D Whitehouse again side by side. So we'll try and pick up both battles into the final corner.
Here comes D Whitehouse going up the inside. He's trying to squeeze as much as he can. He's entitled to do so. That's actually sapped a bit of the momentum for Bruce. They now come towards turn 1 again. More door banging between the two of them. They seem to like each other.
Meanwhile, Rally Matt looking to the inside of turn 1. Sorry, Jack, just seeing that. Obviously nothing doing there. Bruce returning to position 7. Let's have a bit. I was just having a look back on the replay with Stevie Q on Rally Matt earlier on lap 16. Beautiful move. Obviously, Matt still almost recovering from that wider line.
Just again still putting that pressure on Les. That gap's now 1.6 effectively for Fourfish. He's got 4 minutes 23 to go. We're looking at potentially I'd say about 5-6 laps to go.
Matt's got a great run on Stevie Q, took a wider line in, exactly how I would normally play it. He's going to be on the outside for turn 1, but he has got his nose ahead, so he should. Yes, he does. Comfortably
Stevie Q takes that wider line. Can he get any form of momentum?
It seemed like Stevie Q braked a bit too early, almost trying to anticipate it too much. And he's kind of sapped the corner speed from himself to try and get back at Rally Matt through there then. Maybe just a bit too cautious on that inside.
Snav and Traumatic Dave still have a huge battle at the moment for 10th and 11th. They've been traded paint and a bit more than that.
That's a bit wide from Dramatic Dave. Oh, and he's into the wall.
Dave. What has happened there?
Completely stopped on circuit. I wonder if there's been like a controller disconnect or
it's
a
no worse than
internet connection issue. So we're down to 10 men.
That's three Newsham drivers down, unfortunately.
That's 4 Newsham drivers down.
Oh, crikey.
Because obviously Mad Marshall didn't make the start. So it's a 7v3.
Got a big point swing. So
But
in the meantime, we've still got 4Fish currently top of the pile. He's 1.5. He's looking pretty with about 2-3 laps. I'd say 3 laps to go. Philo's still on the back of Les at the moment. Bumper Cam Bob, who's actually impressed me, to be honest. He's been on his own, but he's gapped Stevie Q behind him by 4.3. And I think with the reverse grid coming up shortly, he's got a very good opportunity.
I was going to say Stevie Q managed to get back ahead of Matt. I did just have a look to see if I could find that move. Unfortunately, it was further back than the replays allow me, so it's interesting. Maybe, I don't know whether Matt maybe made a slight mistake, because he wasn't on Stevie Q like he would normally be.
No, exactly. There's a bit of a gap now between the drivers, isn't there? If you look from 5th to 8th place, is about averaging out 7 tenths between the drivers. So the closest battle at the moment is Philo and Les, as it has been all the way through the race. Philo trying to look around the outside, tries to get that switch back, but Les covering well again as per. He's driven
Philo needs to go later here. He's got the right idea. He's taking that wider line, trying to almost switch it, but he's not actually making the switch. He needs to go in slightly later and square the corner up more. He'll be able to get the power down and should get a run onto the main straight, as we've seen from the likes of Stevie Q, Matt, Bruce and D Whitehouse.
D Whitehouse has closed the gap a little bit to Bruce, not by much. It's only 4.5 tenths practically now, with 1:15 left to go in the session. So we're keeping our focus really on, well, I was about to say the second and third place fight, but that's gapped out as well. So
yeah, Philo too wide out of turn 2. Way too wide out of turn 2. He's lost him that bit of time, but in all actual fact, it might actually help him in through the final corner. Might be able to get the momentum he knows he can carry. And I think we must stress as well, Jack, that once that timer hits 0, it doesn't matter who you are, where you are. Even if the leaders cross the line, if you cross the line after it hits 0, you are finished for the race, which is crucial in some battles.
Absolutely. So we are effectively on the final lap, and looking at the gaps, Philo's got a bit of work to do. He's got a good run coming out of turn 2, actually. He needs to keep that momentum through turn 3.
He's a bit too wide through 3.
A bit too wide. Is it a last corner lunge? It'd be very far back. Well, he has to close the gap for Stevie Q as well.
It'll have to be Danny Ricciardo-esque, and to make the apex and not lose your momentum would be quite hard in these cars.
Here he goes.
He's gone for it anyway.
Up to the inside, little bit of contact between the two. It's pushed Les out wide, but I think Les has got the momentum. Let's cut back though, because 4Fish has absolutely nailed this race. What a race for him. Absolutely brilliant.
4Fish wins.
Les is going to take second. A good effort from Philo at the end.
Bumper Cam Bob. Stevie Q being pushed across the line practically by Rowley Matt. Side by side between D Whitehouse and Bruce. Bruce just about getting 7th place.
1,000th of a second.
Joey Dunlop at 9th. Snav providing a bit of entertainment as he comes home in 10th.
Oof, what a race. Absolutely brilliant, but it has to be said, we didn't focus on him much. You could see him on the screen. 4Fish putting a fantastic drive. From lap 1 practically, got himself into the lead, and that was it. He was all sorted from there.
Could he save the replay? So there's your race results. 4Fish taking fastest lap, which I believe is a point.
It is indeed.
See Philo with the point for pole position. A good start for 4Fish Les and Team Coates. Obviously helped, very much aided by, unfortunately, the disconnections of those from the Team Newsham. Obviously, small break, probably less than 10 minutes than usually stated, because obviously the delays, I suspect, Jack, maybe 5?
Yeah, I'm going to start at 21:22. So I've just put a message into the group area. I'm also going to put one from this as well. So start at 21:22, just because of the time constraints.
You would normally know this, Jack. Mostly Traumatic Dave, and I don't know if Waze isn't back in the room, is he?
Not currently.
Nor is Polish Pete. I don't know where Polish Pete went. Where would Traumatic Dave start? Because obviously it's a reverse grid race, but he didn't technically complete the race.
No, he disconnected on, what was it, lap 17? So considering the rules of next gen, obviously, unfortunately, we go off the final lap or the final few moments of the race. So Dave would sadly start from the back of the grid.
Which means you'll have to set the grid. Because I know for a fact GT Sport, if you just put it to reverse previous grid result, it will put Traumatic Dave at the front.
Cam Bob just saying, what's the score with track limits? They're on week
5-0, I think, is the score.
Now we've got that additional element though of the reverse grid race, and looking at it, Snav's going to be on pole position.
He will be on pole.
Is it Joey Dunlop?
Joey Dunlop, yes. So let's just bring up the race results again. So yeah, Snav will start on pole position from Joey Dunlop. D. Whitehouse will be third on the grid. Alongside him, Bruce Lee Harding, which, I tell you what, from that position, Bruce has got a great chance of getting a decent result from there. From fourth on the grid. Rally Matt will start 5th with Stevie Q in 6th. Bumper Cam Bob will start 7th. Philo 8th. Les will be 9th. Fourfish 10th, and obviously Traumatic Dave bringing up the rear from his disconnect.
Now, unfortunately, Jordan, I can't go that quickly in terms of the reverse grid, so could you tell me who was after Joey Dunlop?
D. Whitehouse.
Yeah, D. Whitehouse will start in P3, so that's Bruce Lee Arden 4th?
Yep. Then Rally Matt.
Rally Matt will start in 5th place.
And then Stevie Q.
Bumper Cam Bob.
Yep. And Philo.
Philo, Les, and Fourfish, and then Traumatic Dave. Okay,
Dave.
Brilliant. And now Waze will need to enter, so I'll just type a quick message. So that he quite literally gets the message. So it's going to be interesting to see how the drivers from the back. We know that, you know, Snav was.
Waze has entered, by the way.
Oh, has he entered?
Yep.
Okay, that's fantastic. He must have literally just done it.
And he'll start behind Traumatic Dave.
Yeah, that's been updated already, so that's fine. So 2 minutes to go. I'm quite curious to see how Joey Dunlop gets on, because, you know, looking at it, he didn't really have the chance to battle with anyone. He sort of got gapped quite early on. I think there was a lot of battling, and he tried to get past a few of the other drivers, and that was that really. So he hadn't had the best of opportunities to move forward the way he would have done, or what he wanted. So I'm interested to see how he gets on. One other quick note I wanted to say: I was in the middle of telling this story, and then action kicked off everywhere. Bumper Cam Bob has been racing. Just a bit of info, really, about the drivers. Bumper Cam Bob's been racing since Gran Turismo 1, way back in the day on the PlayStation 1. But looking at him as well, Bumper Cam Bob has racked up, apparently, according to his stats on one of the GT Sport tracking websites, he's racked up over 200,000 miles, driving miles on Gran Turismo Sport. So he's certainly got the experience, and you could see that during with his race pace when he was by himself.
Yeah, actually, almost like a veteran. We're just showing Bruce Lee Harding on the screen. I don't know if you've got time. The story behind that livery he's got. It's a livery people won't recognise because it's run by his mates. It's actually his mate's old livery. Trying to get the new one sorted for after the new year. But yeah, that's his mate Steven Jensen's old livery. Races at Castlecombe in the Hot Hatch series, so quite a nice thing to have when you're practically driving your mate's car, just in a slightly lower spec.
Absolutely. Shall we then crack on with the second race?
Seems like it's time to get everyone is entered who needs to be here.
Yeah, they're all in.
12. Yeah, it would be 13, but Polish Pete isn't here, unfortunately.
No, unfortunately. He has left a message in the chat. We'll come back to that. So, race starting. Here we go. Put a little message. Actually, no, I'm not. I've already told them. Let's go. Ooh. Room is being prepared. As it says.
Go.
Please
go. Race. I've just had to tell Snav to go downstairs.
Oh, crikey. Well, I hope he's ready.
Yeah, I think he will be. He's only on a controller, so he should have to sit down and pick it up. Oh dear. Right, I'll kick him off this time, because why not? So, 12 cars on the grid. We have the 3 red lights. We are green for the second time tonight, and it's a good getaway from Snav. Joey Dunlop, a poor start, obviously not using the trick that I know pretty much every other driver uses up towards turn 1, and good start from D Whitehouse 7 as well as they enter turn 1 for the first time. Snav a little sideways, but he's going to hold on to that first position for now.
Yeah, just got a little bit of wheel spin to Joey Dunlop, so he's gone from 2nd to 4th. D Whitehouse, like you said, Jordan, good start. He's up to
3 wide at the
second.
back, sorry Jack, involving Les, 4-fish Traumatic, Dave just behind him. I think that was also Waze. 3 wide into turn 3. They've all got away cleanly, which is fantastic to see.
Yeah. Traumatic Dave's a little bit far behind. He's about 2.7 off the back of everyone, so not certain what's happened to him. Snap's still leading the way though.
He's going to come under pressure from the Whitehouse down this main straight though with the slipstream. Look for Snav to go to the left hand side of the straight. There he goes.
This is actually the best opportunity.
Almost opened the door.
Joey Dunlop very late on the brakes at the inside of Bruce Lee Harding. D Whitehouse into the lead. Good move from him. Good little bit of dummies going on, but a good switch back from Snav. Has he got the momentum? Not quite. D Whitehouse, Snav right up on the curb there.
Yeah.
Sapped his momentum a little bit. This is the perfect time for D Whitehouse now. You know, looking at the drivers, you know, TNR Philo, he's up to 6th at the moment. But D Whitehouse, we saw earlier on, he's got some good speed. If he wants to try and build on a result that he got from before, potentially try and get a podium. Snav, looking at the inside, bit of contact.
All good though. Joey Dunlop ran the outside of Bruce.
Brave move, but here comes Rally Matt, and here comes Philo.
An absolute train of cars. 3 wide once again. Philo closes the door on Joey Dunlop.
And Bruce Lee now, he's going to have a little look at Rally Matt. Says, here comes Joey Dunlop up the inside.
And Bumper Cam Bob was up the inside of Bruce for a second, and Stevie Q's taking his chance through turn 2 on Bumper Cam Bob. Absolute chaos of racing, which is absolutely brilliant, exactly how the Mini should be.
Absolutely fantastic. But whilst this has all been going on, while they're all squabbling for position, D Whitehouse and Snav have gapped themselves up the road. It's 1.3 to Rally Matt. Now Philo's got a job on his hands, but let's not forget, Philo, you know, podium last time out, did look like he was going to potentially convert pole position. Here goes, oh, big dive up the inside from Joey Dunlop, didn't quite work out. He's hit Philo. He's compromised Bruce. Here comes Bumper Cam Bob on the outside.
Are we 3 wide again? I think we're 3 wide again.
Here comes 4th Fish, here comes Les. There's about 12,000 minis, Jordan, on the grid. It's absolutely phenomenal.
It's a diamond pattern coming into turn number 1 behind Bumper Cam Bob. My word.
Wow, it's 6 wide going through turn 2.
Les has managed to come out in 5th, but he's not going to come out in 5th through turn 3 as Joey Dunlop goes down the inside. Bruce Lee Harding making up positions now. They're 2 by 2 by 2, as if they're going on to Noah's Ark.
Fortunately, there is no redemption for these drivers, so here we go. Waste now in the slipstream on the back of 4
just
Fish.
to break away because Snav looking to the outside for the lead. He's not going to keep it, but he's going to look for the switchback. Not quite going to happen, though. And Rally Matt is starting to gain on them here.
As is Philo. So this will be a fight for first in the moment. Bumper Cam Bob in the meantime. As soon as you look away, he's up to 5th. Bruce Lee's got up the inside of Joey Dunlop.
Nearly 3 wide again.
Here comes everybody in a Mini currently. Stevie Q looking on the outside. Little bit of dog rubber going into
it's almost 3 wide. 4Fish squeezing the life out of Bruce.
Oh, someone's been turned around. That's 4Fish. Round he goes. There was contact there. It just saw 4Fish go round. It was going to happen eventually. So many cars sort of congregating all in one area.
I've got Bruce the replay queued.
Brilliant. Bruce Lee and Waste now side by side. Waste looks like he's sorted those internet problems. Bruce on the outside.
Snav is also into the lead. Yes, down the inside of the final corner. We just about caught that. Because I don't want to erase my marker for 4Fish.
Right. Here comes Rally Matt now on the outside of D. Whitehouse. He's already got the move done before we come to turn 1. D. Whitehouse didn't get the best run out of that corner. Philo might even be in an opportunity to pounce. He's just set the fastest lap. And here he goes up the inside. Oh, he's found a cracking little slot to put himself into. Runs a bit deep. D. Whitehouse trying to go around the outside. Philo cuts to the inside. Got to be careful with track limits. D. Whitehouse puts himself back into 3rd. Jordan, cue that replay before anything else happens.
Where's Bruce? There's Bruce. Let's cue this up. Let's go on board with Bruce as well. So we're on board. Look behind. That's an absolute sea of minis behind him. 4Fish to our right-hand side as we enter turn number 1. Gives a bit of a squeeze. Oh, it seems quite racing. It seems like a bit of understeer from Bruce, but also 4Fish looking to come slightly left to optimise the hairpin. Whether that gets sent to the stewards or not, obviously, is another thing. Waze and Les, though, very close for that P7.
Meanwhile, in the fight for the lead, Rally Matt on the outside of Snav. Snav's gone very, very deep into the corner.
Sideways.
Whitehouse has ghosted his way through and conveniently slots himself up to 2nd. But here comes Philo.
Yeah, a bit of rear contact between Matt and Philo.
Matt squeezed right up to the curb. Bumper Cam Bob's found himself on his own again.
I know from personal experience, Snav is not very easy to get past.
No. Oh, here comes... Oh, this is going to be very, very tight. It's going to be 3 wide to the approach the final corner. Philo on the inside. D. Whitehouse ghosting. Perfect time for him to
and
slot
Matt
back.
looking to the inside as well. Matt's got down the inside of the pair of them, but has he got the momentum?
Snav's got the momentum to get 2nd. I think D. Whitehouse has lost out there. And he has. He's down to 4th.
Immediately Philo going to the right hand side as early as possible to break the toe from Snav, knowing that he'd have the momentum.
DVQ just queuing a position up the inside of Les, but not quite there. Joey Dunlop having a huge wobble going into turn 1. Dave on the inside of 4Fish. I think, to be honest with you, for Dave, the best thing to do for him as 4Fish goes right round the outside of him in turn 2, good move, is just to slot on the back of 4Fish. He's certainly got the speed. He's got fastest lap as well as 4Fish. But here comes the fight for the podium. Philo already gapping these guys. He's 5/10 clear. Rally Matt on the outside.
Yeah, as I say, Snav going defensive once again. Matt looking for that, well, I would say switchback, but instead it's D. Whitehouse who's made the switchback. Fantastic opportunism there from, I don't know if that's a word, but we're going to call it a word, opportunism, from D. Whitehouse, spotting that very early.
Absolutely, great move from D. Whitehouse, Club 100 driver there, just putting himself in a position he needs to. But Bumper Cam Bob now has joined into that little fight. It's a 5-car train. Say that, Philo just looking like he's got the pace on these 4. I think he's got the opportunity now to stretch his legs and get away.
Snav doing his teammate a world of good here. See, Philo in the Newsham camp, as is Snav, and Snav is doing an absolute blinding job of keeping these 3 coach drivers behind him right now, making that...
Bumper Cam Bob, here he comes on the inside. He's gone right through the middle. Snav trying to defend, but that's a white Mini right through the inside. Bit of contact between Snav and Rally Matt as they go through the final corner. And D. Whitehouse, like we said before, with the newly Christian word, opportunism from Jordan, he's up to 3rd. And sure enough, Philo's gone. Has
the damage been done by Snav though? Because will anyone catch Philo? Matt's a bit wide because Snav down the inside, so Snav keeps 4th at least, and he's right on the back of D Whitehouse. And Jack, we've still got another 11. We're not even halfway through this race.
No, absolutely. Got a long way to go, yeah. And let's not forget, Fourfish has managed to bring himself onto the tail of that sort of bottom 6 fight, really. You've got Joey Dunlop right the way forward to Les. So, bit of a battle going on. Let's not forget, Les got podium last time, right? 6th currently. D Whitehouse on the inside, having to defend from Snav going into the final corner.
Snav again looking for that better exit. And I think he may have got that, actually. But I'm also looking because Bruce was coming under threat from Stevie Q. I'm going to set a replay because Waze has suddenly come up to 8th past Stevie Q. So I wonder if Stevie tried to move around the outside. It didn't quite work. Down into turn number 1. Waze looking to go around the outside of the Jensen Racing liveried car.
Dunlop looking for a very late lunge. Didn't quite work. He's actually gone a bit lawnmowering through turn 1. I think Joey Dunlop must have his rear brake bias set very extremely because he's constantly sideways through the corner. As we say that, there's 3 minis going through turn 4 and 5 at the minute. So Stevie Q on the outside, you've got Wace on the inside, Bruce Lee there up front, just holding station. Everywhere you look,
Bumper
Jordan,
Cam Bob is 2nd.
Absolutely, and he's gapped
Is he?
drivers behind because they're too busy squabbling at the moment.
But again, the biggest thing here is Snav has done Philo wonders. It's given Philo space, which is critical for the Newsham camp because they need a win here. And it's going to be 3 wide up to turn 1 with Bruce, Stevie Q and Waze.
It is indeed. Wace has got 7.
Fourfish as well.
Fourfish looking for him. He's got to be careful. Dunlop on the inside. Well, not as close as I thought he was going to be, but Fourfish now getting involved in the shenanigans. Now we're 9 minutes 20 to go in the session, and it's 2x2 again, Jordan.
Where's the arc when you need it?
There's no arc, there is only one mini clubman. So, side by side of the drivers at the moment, you got...
Oh, Stevie Q. Oh, Stevie Q had a little nose up the inside of Bruce. Fullfish also looking a bit interested down the middle, but again, thinking better of it probably best. And instead, we're going to go 3 wide out of the final corner.
And further up the field, you got D Whitehouse and Snav side by side, and Rally Matt looking to get involved. In fact, I think Rally Matt trying to make it 3 wide almost as well. So there's 2 sets of 3 wide. I think Snav's going to try and go around the outside of D Whitehouse. Doesn't quite happen.
Oh, he tried to switch it for the hairpin, didn't quite work. Waze has got past Bruce now, and Fourfish looking down the inside.
Joey Dunlop just got himself up the inside of Stevie Q, so he's up to 10th. Definitely showing a bit more fighting spirit this time around. Joey Dunlop got the chance to express himself a little bit more. Waste chopping the nose off of Fourfish. Meanwhile, in the absolute immense scrap for 3rd place, Les has now joined the party. And very wide around the outside of Snav. Snav just shuts the door on him. And as I say that, Bumper Cam Bob is closing the margin on Philo.
Yeah, 54.8. So similar times last time around. Philo just a touch quicker. Meanwhile, Snav is still in 4th. But D Whitehouse using this to his advantage to try and get away.
He's got almost a 2nd at the moment. Les looking for any form of opportunity he can, and the only thing he can find is the mini boot lid, but he's looking at the inside for turn 5. Now just keeping the door slightly open. Could have chopped him off. A bit harsh, but could have done. There's Wace in 7th. He's got Fourfish looking up the inside of him again. Oh, Snav's been overtaken by Matt. Wace got way too deep.
Yeah, Fourfish has got him. Bruce leading the way in the 3-car scrap for 9th, but Joey Dunlop getting past Stevie Q there. And Traumatic Dave isn't too far behind anymore.
No, he's been stuck there for a few laps at that sort of 2.9 second marker. He's waiting for a bit more action just to pull himself further up the field. It's what's going to need. Bumper Cam Bob, though, now 6/10 off the back of Philo. I gave him a bit of a spotlight before, Jordan, and he's now certainly starting to show that off. Les got past Rally Matt, he's in 4th. Stav all over the back of Rally Matt. at the minute. Well, he was.
I mean, we know how good Rally Matt and Snav can battle, and we saw that last week.
Dunlop and Stevie Q side by side as they approach turn number 7, effectively. On the inside goes Dunlop. Stevie Q right back up the inside.
Should have the momentum, and I'm expecting Bruce to come to the right hand side, which will aid Stevie Q with a bit of slipstream.
He's just got enough, little bit of a front quarter panel to rear quarter panel. I think Joey though will look for that move. Yeah, brakes later.
Oh, contact going in, a bit of a door barge, but they're still side by side. Probably not after this though. Stevie Q getting into 10th.
Bumper cam Bob's put the hazards on, signalling his intent to Philo. Philo will know he's there now. D Whitehouse has been closed by Les. He's took Rally Matt and Snap with him.
Hero Cram, good evening to you, sir, saying the top two have a gap, they need to not battle. Now here's the problem with that statement, they are both in different teams. Philo is in the Newsham camp, Bumper Cam Bob in the Coates camp, so as we say, they're not just fighting for themselves, they're fighting for the team. They do have a 3-second gap back to D Whitehouse though, so they got plenty of gap and probably in less enough time now to start having a battle. 4 minutes 43. They're probably gonna have what, 4 or 5 laps now from here.
Yeah, we're at that point. We are at that stage, and
sure enough, Bob
must have heard us. He's on the inside for turn 7. It's a clean move, but here comes Philo.
Yeah, Philo with the drive. Bit of wheel spin, but he's still carrying the momentum. Be close. Who's going to lead over that line? It's going to be Bumper Cam Bob. No, it's Philo.
Philo, yeah.
Philo by about a grill.
Well, there's Bumper Cam Bob's got the lead up the inside. No room for a switchback for Philo there, so switch a leader. Bumper Cam Bob gets himself up into first. He just cut himself through that traffic earlier on with Snap when they were fighting for second place. That's going to be so important now for the rest of the race. D Whitehouse still in third, Les in fourth, Rally Matt fifth, sixth. Relatively stationary for now. Well, I say stationary in terms of position, not actual speed. Meanwhile, Bruce Lee and Stevie Q now having a nice fight for ninth.
Oh, just going back to that battle for the lead, Jack, because Philo is practically pushing Bob down the back straight. He's going to push him again, so this is interesting tactics from Philo. He's actually nudging Bumper Cam Bob along, maybe to pass him on that final lap.
The old Renault Clio tactic from Project Cars 2, just nudge yourself along to keep the cuts behind you and keep the momentum going, because that's what they're going to need. Les and Dave are still very close on circuit in that final battle for third. I tell you what, this would be a big boost for D Whitehouse to score third in a reverse grid race. Ever the opportunist, but still 2 minute 53 to go in the session. That's effectively enough for 3 laps.
That's a hell of a livery D Whitehouse has got there. I know it's made by Bigsy. It does look very nice.
Philo trying to go set a move up so he can get the switch back. He's right underneath the boot lid of
He's going to push him again.
He is indeed. Okay. That's the second alternative line now he's took. He's trying to just shape up a move, Jordan. I think you were right earlier in terms of getting that move set up. Bob's going very
He's testing now how to get the best run out of that hairpin, so that when on that last lap, because he knows he can get enough momentum to just about beat Bumper Cam Bob to the line. That is critical information, because if you know you can beat the other person to the line on a drag, it means you don't have to worry about racing him too hard in that 2-3 minutes. But he's gone down the inside anyway. And I think Bumper Cam Bob is just a little too wide to be able to carry the extra momentum, although a bit wide from Philo, that's going to cost him. So
prime position now with these last 2 laps we've got. Four Fish is also fighting hard with with Snav. I saw that just a moment ago. Looked like Fourfish has got the momentum. I know that Snav's going to try and hang this one on the inside. Close enough. Here comes Snav.
Snav, usually one of the late breakers of the group.
Ooh,
And again,
very close.
you can see that natural trait from Fourfish to come back left. It's probably what got him into a little bit of trouble early on with Bruce. That natural transition slightly left to get the hairpin. He's lucky that Snav wasn't tighter to him.
Les has got a run on D Whitehouse for third place as well. Les on the inside. He's just managed to put a mini-shaped hole in that corner. Here comes Bob up the inside of Philo. He's got the move done, but he's gone a little bit deep. That's going to allow Philo right back up the inside for that switchback.
Meanwhile, same for Les. Same for Les. He went down the inside of D Whitehouse, ran a bit wide, and D Whitehouse back through into third.
This is it. Final lap, Jordan. Final lap. Not going to ask you to try and call this one because it's so close. Philo defending heavily on the inside. Has he left a little bit of a gap for Bumper Cam Bob? No, he shuts the door.
Closes the door right at the right time as well. You could tell Bob was looking for it as well.
Absolutely slammed the door shut. But he's got a really good run, has Bob. He's right there.
I wonder if Philo's going to give him the inside.
He was very tactical there. Philo just lifted enough on the accelerator to stop him from going through that 5-6 complex side by side. This is it, Jordan.
I'm surprised at this tactic from Philo going to the inside. It's not the momentum swing you need.
But I think he's done enough, Jordan.
I think he's just about got away with it.
Les has got the inside and he's got the momentum on D Whitehouse and he's got third.
We'll come back to it because Philo wins here at Lago Maggiore, followed by Bumper Cam Bob. Les just about takes it from D Whitehouse and Rally Matt right behind as well. It's going to be Stevie Q to the line against Fourfish, Waze and Snav. Bruce Lee Harding in 10th, Joey Dunlop 11th, and fair play to Traumatic Dave, who finishes the race in 12th place. Staying on and finishing the race is fantastic from Traumatic Dave there.
What a result for Philo. He took advantage early on, made sure that he could get himself through the traffic. You saw Bumper Cam Bob did exactly the same thing, but his pace was impressive and the two fighting so hard at the end. It was absolutely fantastic, Jordan. Really great driving. And Les right on that final corner.
What a race. I mean, cracking effort from Philo. I honestly thought it was the worst tactic to go down the inside there for Philo, just purely because of the momentum you can get from having that wide line in. And Bob got it, but I just don't think he managed to get the throttle down early enough to make that momentum happen.
No, exactly. That was the thing, and that was at the end of the day, that's where it comes down to who those drivers are going to be to take advantage.
But what a start to the championship for Philo. That's the third and a win. That is going to put him in prime real estate for top of the pile, because his next closest challenger, I think, will be Les, who's got a second and a third.
So that would be 33 points for him.
Fourfish
obviously recovered to 7th place, so that'd be 31. So you'd be
fastest lap as well for Fourfish
on both races, so that would be 34 points as well, including his pole. So he's one clear of Les, but Philo, first and third, 36.
Plus pole position.
Sorry, yeah, 37, and Les and Fourfish on 33.
But I think that shows you just how close this league's going to be, and how critical it is to get those reverse grids races correct. Because next week a slightly bigger track in terms of Kyoto Yamagiwa, which I believe is the next track. So that is going to be a slipstream fest and a half, Jack.
Yeah, it's absolutely going to be. It's going to be a really good momentum building circuit, that one, and really looking forward to that one. It's, like I said, momentum is going to be very key around there. Anyone who gets turned around, unlike tonight, there's going to be no real opportunity for anyone to get back involved. I have to say, Fourfish did really well getting back up to 7th, considering.
Yeah, it's cracking drive, cracking return. Obviously, just that tiny bit of contact with Bruce. Like I said, I think it'll be a racing incident. It's Bruce was slightly understeering. Forfish was trying to come back left to optimise the hairpin ever so slightly as well. So in reality, probably racing just in general. But yeah, a fantastic return from Forfish, and to the game as well, because like I say, he spent probably 2-3 seasons now away from GT Sport in terms of next gen league racing. So a fantastic return to the game.
Absolutely, really good return for him. So that is it, Jordan.
That is it. I mean, we've got some good leagues on the way this week, which we'll probably talk about in the podcast. That comes out tomorrow.
The Turbo Tuesday podcast, which you can obviously have a look at on Jordan's channel. It gets uploaded to YouTube.
No, that's on the Next Gen official channel, the podcast.
That's my
straight there.
So you can watch that live, of course. That's when you'll be hearing myself and Jordan and Mikey, of course, discussing all things league racing within Next Gen. We'll be discussing this race too. A lot to talk about. So do tune in for that, and we'll be commentating again soon later on in the week, won't we, Jordan, for different respective leagues?
Yeah, obviously you'll be on the McGanns and the Scirocco's. I'll be on the Virtual Focus Cup later this week.
So a lot of racing, a lot of commentating to be had, isn't there?
Yes, it's. I think we worked out in general there's about 14 different leagues in Next Gen this season, some of which have 2 lobbies, which is a fantastic thing to have at this point in time. But yeah, so Kyoto Yamagiwa next week. That's going to be a cracker. And the other thing we got to look forward to as well, Jack, is when we reach round 5 and 10, there is no 2 race. There is not 2 races. It's a 1 hour endurance race.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting to see, and we'll have a bit more of a narrative going on at that point in terms of the championship, obviously for round 10, definitely. And for those 2 races, Jordan, are we running usual standard points?
I believe so, but I think it's something to be discussed.
Absolutely. So all yet to play for. We'll soon find out. So, Jordan, is there anything else to cover?
I don't believe so, other than to say well done to everyone for racing tonight. It was clean, about as clean as it gets for a league that's that close.
Yeah, absolutely. So, thank you very much for tuning in. We'll be back next Monday. We'll be racing off to Kyoto Driving Park Yamagiwa for this wonderful Kota versus Newsham series. So wherever you might be in the big wide world, thank you very much for listening. Bye from Jordan.
Goodbye.
And bye from me. Have a good one.